Welcome back, everybody. Gaming Grandpa here doing the FM Challenge. We are in Season 3 with Austin FC. This is Club Number 1. The reason I say Club Number 1 is because I am looking for another club. I was talking about it last season that if I won everything 3 seasons in a row, then I would definitely jump ship and look for a different team. I just haven't had any available to jump to until now. And I'm probably not going to do this one, but we'll see. But anyway, I was talking about doing an overhaul on the team. I had, the max you could have is 52 players in your squad, but according to MLS rules, and, this is the FM Challenger Football Manager, I'm only allowed to have 32 registered at a time. So it's kind of crazy to have that many players. So anyway, I went through and did a lot of cutting and selling and a lot of dealing and willing. Now, I did want to talk. I did sign a few players. There's a couple surprises here, and there's some heartbreakers, but it is what it is. All right, well, I signed Gabriel. I actually signed him once the transfer window ended, last transfer window, I actually signed him the day after in Mendez. But I got a hell of a deal, and I don't know what's going on with FIFA, but if you offer a player, and nowadays I am always trying to get rid of a player to help cut the expense on the incoming players. So this dude here, I offered, I think, Dragowski, and they come back and said they didn't want him, they wanted somebody else, and long story short, they said we'll get back to you, and they come up with this. Well, it's a glitch in the game, unfortunately, but at the same time, I'm not going to sit there and say, okay, I don't want that. I want to give you $50 million. It doesn't really give you that option. So it's either you sign a player or you don't. So I signed him because, remember, I got rid of Vega, and I kind of had so Bakken was filling in, I believe. But I signed this kid to replace Vega on the right side. He is a really good player. He's really quick, and you know how I love my speedy wingers. So it was a hell of a deal. All right, now Mendez, I needed another left back because Middlestat just wasn't going to really get any better. So I wanted a full-time left back, and I signed it from Paris, from PSG. He wasn't really a starter. He was a sub in real life at the time. So he wanted to come over and be a star here in the MLS, just like Graven Birch and a few of the other guys have done. But I got a hell of a deal on him, too. I mean, it's unbelievable. Now, he is a DP. This kid is not. 13.5. Remember, the cutoff was 14.125 or 14.250 now with all the increases for DP. So he's not a DP. So that puts me at 4 DPs at the moment when I signed Mendez. Everything's okay. I'm still within my registration rules, so we're good. But he's an exciting prospect. Mendez, I don't know what he is because once he hits, I don't know. I mean, he's an 85, so I don't think it really counts his status anymore because he's definitely an exciting prospect already, or showing great potential, but he's going to get better. But anyhow, that's 2 of the players that I signed pretty much the first day out of the transfer window. I did manage to get rid of Peterson. He's been gone, 4 months now, 5 months, whatever it was. So when I sold him, he was a 61, so I'm glad to see him improving. Hansen just wasn't going to play, and as you can see, I still... I did make a profit on every player that I sold. I don't take a loss on him. But he was like a 60, I think, and he was worth 450 or something like that. But I got rid of him. Now, this kid, I struggled with it because if you go to SoFIFA, SoFIFA.com, and I've talked about that website before, they keep up-to-date stats on this kid, and he's an exciting prospect. The problem was I couldn't justify keeping him because he was in my reserves. He wasn't playing because I had so many other players that were better than him at the time. But I really like this kid. I mean, he's going to be a really good player, but he's 19 and only a 70. So I just went ahead and they got an offer for him, and I took it. I mean, what is he? Yeah, I still made a profit. All right, Ochoa, he just wasn't going to cut it, and he's 20 now, and so I made a good deal on him. I got rid of Garcia, too, to Minnesota United. The funny thing about that, I could have made a lot more money on this kid, but once again, in the MLS, you can trade different things, and anytime I have an MLS team come in for one of my players, I always throw in a deal to either give me an international player slot or some allocation money or both. And in this case, I got both from them. They really wanted this kid, so I went ahead and did that, and I'll talk about that later. All right, I did sign this kid. I figured I needed another backup. And when I signed him, he was a 70, and I just signed him not too long ago. So he's already improved. So he's not going to get, he's only going to be showing great potential, but still, he's a backup player that actually currently is in the reserves. But we'll talk about my squad later. All right, Mesa, he just wasn't going to cut it. He was one of them free agents that I signed, and, I had no problem signing a few of them per year and selling them and make some money. I was just hoping I'd make more off of him, but I didn't, so it is what it is. Now, interestingly enough, Minnesota United came in for Bravo. He was my homegrown player that I really didn't want to get rid of. He was 15, one of the players that I really liked, but he just was not improving. And I'm just like, holy crap. So I got rid of him. All right, here's one of the big transfers, really. I didn't get that much money from him, but he was a starter, if you remember. He was starting for me, and I got rid of Fry. I wanted to cut bait with a few players, and he was one of them. So I actually made some decent money by sending him away. All right, I struggled with getting rid of him, but once again, when you have a really outstanding youth academy and all these youngsters are coming up, it's really hard to decide which ones to keep. So I always go by which one's higher rated and which one's worth more, and he lost out. So I did make a good profit on him, and he went and played with them, so I was okay. Soria was a free agent that I signed, and I signed him at like a 68, I think, or whatever, as a free agent. I had to make some money on him and get rid of him because he wasn't going to cut it neither. Okay, now here's another one. Now, remember I signed Murillo and I signed Oman, and I already had Berg and I had Raspadori. So the problem was those free agents were worth $20 million when I signed them. So I kind of had to do it, and I was going to transfer this Murillo. And when I got Nianzu, Schalke wanted him. They come out, I tried to offer players, and they come back and said, no, we want Murillo. And they wanted like $15 million. So I talked them down to 7 plus Murillo, and I thought it was a really good deal. Especially, he's only worth $20 million, but he's expected to get up to about an 84, 85, 86, something like that. And we'll see how he develops. But he's a pretty good player, and he was 6'3", so that's why I liked him, and he works really well in tandem with Saliba there. So I ended up getting rid of him. All right, I hated this one, but once again, keeping your players out of the Premier League, it's really, really hard to do. We're in the MLS, man. We don't have any international competition. If we did, more players might play and stay. But how can I say no when I had an offer like that come in for him? And I didn't even transfer list him, but I went ahead and made some money on him, and he's making more money, so he's happy. So it was a win-win. But that meant that Varane had the sole position of right mid then. So that worked out. Wrench, I decided to go ahead and get rid of him, as I talked about. I had Mendez and I have Frimpong. I don't need him really because I have some youngsters that are stepping up to fill in the spots for backup anyway. But I went ahead and traded him to the Premier League, the Wolves, and I made some decent money on him. This is another one of them youngsters that I just didn't want to get rid of, but he just wasn't improving enough. And I still have Bravo out on loan. Hell, I have Fisher and Caballero out on loan, and they're going to be better than these guys. So I made a profit on him from what I paid 2 years ago. So, and I just had him out on loan pretty much the whole time. All right, Middlestat, we knew this was coming. Braga wanted him. I made a really good deal, and I made some money off of him because he's not getting better. He's a solid player. He's just short, but, it is what it is. All right, Aguirre's one that I sent out on loan because I do want to keep him, at least for now. Jovanovic was out on loan. I recalled him to sell him because he was taking up a slot on, out of the 52, and he just, look at 2.4 at 71. He was one of them free agents I signed and took a chance on. He didn't pan out, so I made some money on him. All right, Wood, Leeds United come in for a short-term loan, short-term loan, and I didn't want to send him out, but you know what? He's with Leeds United, and he's getting some playing time, so it's better than he'd get with me. Same thing with Alvarez, and then same thing with Johnson. Now, Johnson went to Brighton, so I have no problem with that. Now, Football Manager, when you send your players out for loan, you can tell them, I want them to be a starting player, I want them to be backup or whatever, rotational. You can't do that with FIFA, but the cool thing is, and just like in real life, if your players aren't getting the play time that they're expected to get according to the loan contract, you can recall them at no cost. So, now FIFA still charges you that, but I was happy to get him out on loan. Okay, here's another one I signed. I was only going to sign him if he wanted a rotational position or lower, and that's what he took. And I was so proud to get him because look, he's worth almost $24 million, so that was a hell of a deal. All right, here was another guy that I went out and signed, Serrano. I had him on my short list for a while. He was like a 73, 74. He's just a solid backup player. He's never going to be the starter for me. He's a rotational player. He'll get a start here and there, but I needed some solid backups. I got rid of Sabak, and I got rid of all my pre-contract players that I signed 2 years ago. I needed some more backup, and he fit the bill. And at 11.8, he was a hell of a steal. All right, I did sign this free agent. Unfortunately, this is the max he's going to get is 72. On his development, he's already maxed out. But you know what? And once again, he's a solid backup. I've actually played him quite a lot now. He's a decent little player, and I could probably turn around and sell him next year or trade him, and that would take care of it. Marin, I didn't want to send him out on loan. I didn't even have him listed for loan, and I had so many people coming in for him, and finally they wanted a short term without a chance to buy, so I sent him out. Now, Vera, I'm keeping him, but we sent him on a short-term loan too. All right, here is the two shockers. Yes, Gravenberch went to Real Madrid. How in the hell can I keep anybody in real life from not going to Real Madrid if you get a chance? Even if he's not going to be a starter, it's Real Madrid, one of the best teams ever in the world. And he turned down Man City, and I'm like, okay, I was thinking he was going to turn this down, but, you know, we pulled him in the office and talked with him and said, hey, this is a dream move here. And they want him to be a starter because, check this out, the dude is an 89. I mean, yeah, he's starting over there for Real Madrid, so how can I keep this kid from doing it? Plus, he's making $290,000. He was making $30,000 with me. That was after giving him a pay increase last season. So he's a wonderful kid. He was a great servant at the club, and I really, really hated him to go. I didn't transfer list him, and like I said, but if these big teams come calling, I'm going to accept the offer and get the most money I can and let these kids go if they want to. Now, he did cancel or turn down Man City, which is amazing. Saliba turned down Man United. I had a $103 million offer for Saliba, and he turned it down. I had another offer for Frimpong for Bayern Munich, and he turned him down. And I'm going, wow, I just, you know, I'm trying to make this as realistic as possible, and so that's why I'm accepting offers, even though I don't want to. I don't want to lose these guys. Hell, he's one of the best players in the league. He was a superstar in the MLS. But it's Real Madrid, dude. How can I say no? I mean, even if they offered me $75 million, how can I say no? Because it's Real Madrid, you know? And that's why I try to do this as fair and realistic as I can. If my players turn down a move, that's not on me. I did my due diligence towards my kids, and that's what happened. But they wanted to pay me $162 million. I talked them up to $168.3, and the tensions were almost ready to boil over. And they want, you know, I'm like, you know what, hell, I'm going to do it. $168.3. I once again, he's going to be a cemented position in the All-Star top 11 every season. That, you know, team's top best 11. So he was a hell of a player. Now, in the meantime, that left me with a hell of a lot of money. Now, remember the MLS, and this is where it gets complicated in FIFA, because FIFA, you know, some of the clubs tell you, like, okay, I made $168.3 on him. My club actually gave me $150 for my transfer budget, but in MLS, they take a big cut of that too. So I don't have $150 million. I had to subtract the percentages and whatnot, and I was able to replace him. Now, I changed his position from a central midfielder to a central attacking midfielder because he was maxed out with skills, weak foot. No, he was maxed out with everything but skills. And by training him to be a cam, I was able to get a skill foot. So now he's 5 stars on everything. So it was a good deal. But anyway, I wanted to get somebody that could replace Buzio in the future. And here this kid is. Yes, I paid. It's my highest transfer fee I paid. I tried to trade a bunch of players. They didn't want them. Well, they would have taken Buzio, but they still wanted $70 million. And I'm like, you know what, man? I'm not going to do that. I paid $80 million as it was, which once again is my highest transfer. But look at this dude. You know, I mean, he came from PSG. I thought is where he came from. Nope, Leipzig. You know, but he's like, you know, he says I'm not starting every game, coach, and he's a starter for me. And in real life, some of these players have no problem if they can get the wage that they want to come to the MLS and use this as a stepping stone. By all means, that's how, you know, stars are born in MLS, and I don't have a problem with that. Now, I paid $7 million less than what he was worth, and he's only going to get better. He's expected to be has potential to be special, so he can get all the way up to a 92. And according to FIFA, he's going to be an 89, but we'll see what happens. But anyhow, Graven Birch was a 89, but this kid is a stud, and I was very surprised that he wanted to come to us. I have a lot of players turn us down, so I do what I can do. I got him in for $80 million and spent, pretty much what I made off of Graven Birch, because the rest of that went to the league, so I don't have it, even though it says it's in my coffers. It's not. And I was very, very happy to get him because he's also can play the CDM position, which is what I want him for. Although after the last game that I simmed, he got a damn hat trick in his debut, nonetheless, in a sim. I was like, holy shit, we won 6-0 in a sim game on world-class difficulty, and he had a hat trick, and Raspadori had a hat trick, so I'm like, holy shit, it was crazy. But anyhow, I did manage to get him, and I was just like, wow, I was ecstatic, and I still have a little bit of money left. I am going to make a few more moves now for the beginning of the next transfer window, and I'm going to go ahead and show you who those are. I haven't initiated them yet, but I'm going to. I debated whether or not to sign this kid. I really have. Oh, okay, finally, he got a team. Okay. I keep these free agents on here just in case, just in case I could sign them. But, I don't know. This kid just has not been improving at all. But I have youngsters on my youth academy that could be better than him. So, but anyhow, here's a player that I am wanting to sign. I wanted to sign him. And it was a hell of a deal. Actually, I was going to get him for 13, but I couldn't do the contract because he wanted to be only rotation, but he wanted too much money, and I didn't have any DP slots open. Now, remember, I signed Mendez as a DP, and I got rid of Graven Birch as a DP, and so Mendez filled in for that spot, but I also maneuvered the contracts and everything else, and that's how I was able to get the other DP slot. So I still am within my standards, and I'm going to go through my roster, and I'll talk about that here in a bit. But remember, in the MLS, you can will and deal contracts just like in real life you can. Like if a player wants, $30 million, you can say, hey, I tell you what, how about I pay you $20 million to keep me under the cap, and I'll throw in a $5 million sign-in bonus or $6 million sign-in bonus. And they're like, hell yeah. So it's more money than they would make anyway, and it keeps everything legal and everything legit for registration. So that's what I was going to do. But I just couldn't make the numbers work with this kid because I really wanted him, but he wanted more money than Mendez. And I'm like, no, that ain't going to happen, man. But here's one that I am going to try to get. Oh, where did he go? Oh, this dude. Okay, this dude, and I actually was going to sign him, but then I backed up at the last minute. It wasn't his wage demands. It was just, because I decided not to trade. They wanted Busio, and I decided not to trade Busio at the last minute. I'm like, no, I ain't going to do that. So I canceled his contract, and everything went through. I can still negotiate right now. It blocked me for the month, but it's good. But anyway, I can get him for about $60 million. He's an exciting prospect. But look at that. He's 18 and worth $55 million. He's going to take Graven Birch's spot. Karaminga is going to take Bushio's spot at the end of the year. Now, I don't know if I will be here at the end of the year, and we're going to have to wait and see what happens. But that is one of the players that I'm going to try to get. I might try to will and deal. Oh, I do have an offer for... Look at that. Oh my gosh, I want to get rid of Dragowski, but not in a swap deal, man. I really, truly don't. I mean, this kid is not a bad player. I've looked him up. The max he's going to get is an 80. I have no problem with that, but I don't know what he'll want. I don't know. His wages are probably going to be fine. As long as he's number 14125, I think we'll be all right. But I already have two other kids that are my backup center backs. And it's like, I don't want him, and so I'm going to will and deal and see if they'll take him. If not, I'll just transfer list Drukowski and I will get rid of him. I have no more transfer listed players, which is crazy. But these are all the players that I ended up getting this year. So it was a hell of a transfer window, and I lost a few players, and I just, I did what I had to do. But here's my squad. which is crazy. Now, Berg and Oman are pretty much rotating. Right now, Oman's the starter. But I have Raspadori and Oman up top. I have Solomana and Varane on my wings. At Kamavinga is playing my CM. I'm going to train him to be a cam, though. All right, Bushio's a CDM for now. Mendez and Frimpong are my fullbacks with Nianzou and Saliba, however you want to pronounce it, as my center backs, with Franco as my starting goalkeeper. Now, look at the kids that I have for backup. The thing I like about him is he could play 3 positions anywhere in the midfield, and he could play the outside wingers. So it's a good deal. So I'm really kind of happy. Ray can play center back also. And, I mean, it's just amazing. I have all my positions covered, and that's what I like. Weber's a rotational player, and he plays quite a lot. But this is my team. I do have some players out on loan, but I don't have as many as I've had. And I'm happy about that because I have some youngsters I'm going to bring up here this month, too. All right, Squad Hub. All right, the thing about Franco, I'm getting rid of him. See, once again, the little yellow icon to the right of goalkeeper, he's not getting any better. He's maxed. So I'm going to end up selling him for, he's worth $12 million. I'm going to end up selling him, and we're going to go from there. But that's like Dragowski. He's not going to improve anymore either. But remember, I have these kids out on loan. I mean, they're out on loan, and it's amazing. And yes, his wage says 17, but remember I told you I restructured it to get him at 14 and gave him a big signing bonus. So, once again, I don't go by what's on here. I go by what's on my spreadsheet because I'm keeping accurate accounts and stats on it. But yeah, one of these guys is going to be my starting goalkeeper here pretty soon because they're already pretty much, look at that. They're doing really well. So I'm really kind of happy with them. But that's what's going to happen there. They're going to be my starting goalkeeper. One of them is. All right, this kid is going to improve. He's already improved a little bit. They'll be coming back from loan. Odd. I'm probably going to recall him pretty soon just to have another backup. And he's probably, unfortunately, going to be sold. It's just I don't know, he's not progressing the way I thought he was. And they are progressing on loan, by the way. You can tell he went up one. Okay. Aguirre's probably going to get sold, unfortunately. Lynn is definitely going to get sold. He's a youth academy grad. Check him out, man. He's going to be a freaking stud, and he's a center back, and I'm really thrilled with him. And he's only 6 foot, but you know what? He's going to be a good player. Okay, Cardozo and Scalvini, those are the 2 that I signed at the end of the transfer window. Remember, I signed 3 at last transfer window for the beginning, I mean. They were the first 3 that come in my team when the transfer window opened in July. But yeah, they're going to be super, super players. And him, like I said, I had an offer for him. I accepted it, and he turned it down. So, not much I could do about that. All right, I don't know how long I'll keep him, but I need to get some of these guys, better than him, and then I'll end up, getting rid of him. But look at it. He's 6. What is he? 6'3", and I like that. But as you can see, I mean, he's worth $20 million, and the other 2 are catching up to him. So, I have a really, really solid team. I cut a lot of players and got rid of a lot of, not dead weight really, but players that just didn't stand a chance to playing with me. So I had to do it. Now, Bushio's probably going to be the next one to go. I like him. He's an American, but I don't have any problems with the international player slots. I have plenty of open slots. So, because most of these kids are on the national team, so it, gives them a green card. But yeah, this is pretty much my team. I have to make a decision on Toma when he comes back, but we'll see what happens. I mean, Berg, luckily, I did manage to upgrade his contract, and he's a crucial or important player, but he rotates and he plays about every other game, so he's been fine so far. But anyhow, that's my team. I wanted to show you the Youth Academy real quick because I have some really, really good players that are going to be coming up with that. I had to clean out and release a couple players that just didn't turn out the way they were, or way I thought they was. This kid, the max potential he's going to be is an 83, so he's probably not even going to be showing great potential, but he's a 69. He's going to be worth about $1.5 to $2 million, and he's 17, so I'm really happy with him. But, I mean, look at some of these kids. When you sign them, every one that I've signed has been over $900,000 when I sign them, and they've gone up quite a bit. So I have a really strong youth academy this year, and I'm very, very happy about it. But that takes care of all of them. Now, I'm going to go through the calendar real quick before we talk about jobs. Look at that. Look how much money I have. Now, once again, after I spent $80 million, Most of this goes to the league. Remember, transfers, for every $20 million I get, my team keeps a little bit and the league takes about half of it. So, that's the crazy part. So I have that money here, but I really don't have that money, if that makes sense to you guys when I explained all the rules. All right, I wanted to kind of go over the shirts. Look at that. The shirts. Raspadori, Solomana, and it rotates between Solomana and Saliba, but now that Camavinga's here, he took over from Gravenberch, and those were always the top three. So this has pretty much been my top three now. So, it's one. I wish they would have better records on that like they do in Football Manager, but it's getting better. All right, here's the calendar. We're going to go through because we haven't had an episode in a little while since the transfer window started. As you can see, my team is on fire. My team is on fire. I have simmed these games. I play the cup games, but my team is on fire. I did lose 1-0 against Orlando, which kind of sucked because they were down at the bottom of the league, but I had all my starters are out for international duty. And then they came back and they whooped up on Dallas, and so I was very happy. I mean, look at that. We are kicking some ass, and all of them are being simmed. I am going to play this one, and then I am going to have a video of this one. That's the next episode, because remember, random game has to be the first game after the transfer window, but we're almost done with the season, and then we'll end it with Minnesota, and hopefully we'll get to see some of the players that I sent to them, and that'd be kind of interesting. But this league has kind of wore me out. I'm tired. I've won everything I could possibly win since we've started, and it's not a challenge anymore. Okay, I wanted to go show you here the standings, and yes, this is the damn cup standings, and I don't care about that. All right, pick competition. We went to MLS. All right, New York City has been our rival over in the Eastern Conference, but they played 27, we played 27, and we are 4 points ahead of them. We don't play them anymore, but we'll see what happens. We do have some teams with some of our games are against some of the lower competition, like Toronto. Who were we playing? Houston, San Jose, Sporting KC. So I mean, if we don't win the league and win this, the Supporter Shield again, then I might stay. But I have to make a decision here because jobs are becoming available now that it's September. Oh wow, there was some open yesterday. That's okay, though. There was a couple open yesterday, and they were for Portugal. I wasn't going to take any because they were the top 4 teams. I want a challenge. I want a team that is in relegation position. I want a team that, is struggling. I want a challenge. I don't want to come into the league and get into postseason, the Champions League or the UEFA or the Europa League. I don't want to do that my first season. I want to build my team. You know what I'm saying? So that's the challenge that I want. But I'm not going to leave for just a top team. That's not what this is about. I want a challenge to build up my team. Now, I do want to tell you, this is the first month that I've had, I take that back. Gravenberch was on the Player of the Month shortlist in August before he left. But I have 2 players on the short list. I haven't had a player win Player of the Month since Bellotti was here. And that tickles me pink because these 2 guys are just fucking studs right now. And I'm going to go through and show you the records. And then I'm going to end this episode. It's gone a lot longer than what I was hoping, and I'm sorry about that. But I just like to talk. That's me. All right. Oh, boy, that's the cup. I don't want the cup. I want the league. All right, look at Raspadori, man. 25 matches and 24 goals. And check out Oman. He hasn't been here that long. He had 2 hat tricks back to back. So I have some really good scores. And look at Solomana with 12. But, and Raspadori with the assist. And I am amazed. I did not get one offer for Raspadori, even though it popped up all over my list that I was going to get some. I never did. And I was just like, wow. They said he was in demand because he was a top scorer, not one offer. So, hey, it is what it is. I actually extended his contract to knock out his release clause. I don't like the release clauses. I hate it. Sometimes they won't do anything unless you give them a release clause. But I found with extensions, a lot of times they'll sign a 1-year extension with no release clause if you give them a pay raise. So that's what happened to Raspadori. Now remember, he's on that professional player development. mission. So it didn't matter what I give him because it's all different on my spreadsheet anyway. But anyhow, guys, that pretty much takes care of this episode. That takes care of the transfers, and we are going to have a couple episodes left before the end of the season, and who knows, I might jump ship before the season's over. As long as we are in first place with everything and winning, I'm going to do so. It's just, I hate to do it, but I can't help it. Okay, I am using, believe it or not, 3 international player slots. I only have my 3 DP slots. I do have the professional development, which is Raspadori, and I do have my under 22. Oh my God, under 22 players. I forget the initiative program. I do have 2 of them too, but I am legit with everything. With all of my players, everybody's registered. I only have 26 players that are registered, so I can have 6 more. So I'm going to go ahead, and when I turn in my registration before the first league game, I'm going to include all my 17-year-olds from the youth academy, so that way when I bring them up, they can play. But anyhow, guys, we'll see what teams lay ahead. I mean, it doesn't. I would love a South America team. I really would, but it's probably going to be a European team, and I really want somebody. I really don't want England. I want a different challenge. Hell, I'd go to China or Australia. I want something different. But anyhow, I just want to go ahead and end the episode and tell everybody the wonderful transfers and the heartbreaking transfers that we had that left. But, that's how soccer is. So, anyway, guys, if you like what you witnessed just now, please give me a like, a thumbs up, and subscribe if you want. I'm trying to have as many episodes on this as I can a week, and plus I have my other stuff that I'm doing too. So, anyway, guys, thanks again for watching, and y'all have a good night.